Hey, Jill, Wood, everybody, Team Wilpers, athlete spotlight time. Jill, thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what fun. Okay, so here you're in England and I'm in New England. That
Ah,
was
nice.
I tried that joke with Fedor. I don't know if it hit. I don't know if it works or not, but I'm trying it again. Anyway, so yeah, here in Vermont, and you're over in are you near London?
No, I'm in Birmingham, so middle of England.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks. I mentioned to Fedor I was there over the summer. We went from to London and then took a train up to Scotland for World Championships for
Nice.
cycling race, and I was there kind of in a coach status, but more so just a family friend was racing her time trial bike, so that was very cool to be a small part of. But that's my experience. I've only been there once, but so, wow, would you just give us a intro so we can learn about you a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I got my Peloton in middle of lockdown, and I've been addicted ever since. So um, got into Power Zone pretty much off the bat because I don't I like to not have to think about what I'm doing. Someone tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I like data. I work with numbers. I love data. So yeah, I just liked having something that even when you look at the structure, you think there's no way I can do that. I think, well, no, my numbers say I can do it. I'll just stick to my numbers and I can get through it. So
It's
yeah,
easy
that's
when
how
you
I
don't have
got
to think
into it.
about it, right? If somebody else does
Yeah,
the thinking, that
definitely.
makes it all the easier. What do you do? What do you do for a living? What do you do with numbers?
I'm an actuary, so I work in finance.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah.
Well, and so what you do for us, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but every week I give you the structure of the workouts, and you have figured out a smart way to build the timers that are provided. So you've been a huge help to me, and I just wanted to give you credit right here in front of everyone. So thank you, thank you. That's been awesome. Takes a lot of time off my hands, but also, I do you love using the timers?
Yes, yes. They are invaluable. Like the other day, my Peloton crashed on me halfway through, and I was just like, well, I know what I've got to do. I managed to reboot it whilst keeping pedaling at the same. I knew it was like just stay in that zone. So I knew with what you're doing, reboot, and I came back, and I managed to keep the structure even though the screen had gone. So they are brilliant. And then just being able to choose a ride based on music rather than having to do one with songs, music I don't really like. I could just pick and choose, try different instructors. So yeah, it's great.
That's cool. And so you actually built a program, and you just take the structure, or you take a file that I provide and you plug it into your program, and you're going to have to show me how it's done, but you're already way past me on those. I was building them manually until until a couple months ago, and then you spoke up and said that you could help. So that's amazing. What
Yeah. Well, I
awesome.
was
And
doing them manually as well until I thought at work we're doing a lot of automation stuff, and I thought I think I can use some of this stuff ideas here to do this, and I did. And then you sent one which had some like 86 intervals in it the next week, and I was like, thank God, I've got an automated way of doing this now rather than having to put that in by hand.
right, right. And by the way, I wouldn't do all the 86 intervals. I would keep them more clean, but we do try and follow the classes that are laid
Yeah,
out. So I do have to very differ. I do have to differ from them sometimes. I just can't give some of the intervals that are on in those classes. I can't give them all, but they're pretty good for the most part.
yeah,
Uh, Anyway, so well, we both have 7-year-olds, huh? You have a 7-year-old son, and I have a
yeah.
daughter, and does that get in the way or of training? Of course, it doesn't get in the way. It just what's that like as far as training wise?
It doesn't get in the way as such, but I do get guilt because I do my training after I finish work, which is when he just gets home from school, and I feel like he comes home from school, and I'm like, I've got to go do a ride now. So I feel a bit guilty in that sense, but ultimately it means I'm more active for when he wants me to be running around and stuff. So I've got to
Ultimately,
realize
right?
I need my own time. So
Long term, you're more fit and strong for him. Yeah, well
exactly,
said.
yeah.
So my daughter, Cece, gets on the Peloton. She does lane break. Does what's your
Oh
son's name?
wow, he's called Max.
Max, does he get on the bike at all, or does he ride outside?
No, he does. He does. We ride outside. We need to do a bit more riding outside. But no, he's sat on it a couple of times and had a go. But I don't. One night he said to me, "Mummy, I don't want to get older," and I was like, "Why don't you want to grow up?" And he's like, "I don't want to have to do the peloton."
Yep.
So he
That's
thinks
one
it's
of
a chore, and I'm like, no, I choose to do it.
That's funny. That's funny. Any and we'll talk about goals in a second, but does anything else get in the way of a consistent training plan for you?
Just not really at the moment. I'm once if I'm very dedicated to doing what I need to do, unless like I did get ill at the end of the last challenge, so obviously I had to
Right.
stop a bit there. But other than that, I generally try and just flex what I need to do. So yesterday I knew my other half was out after work, so I took a lunch break. I don't normally take lunch breaks, but I took a lunch break and got my ride done at lunchtime. So I just try and fit it in. And then sometimes I just have to say, right, I can't do 5 rides this week. I'll have to do, cut down the number and
And that's
accept
okay.
it.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
okay. I think a lot of people get freaked out a little bit and try and stack it on 2 rides in a day afterwards. But
Oh
yeah, it's
no.
really, you've got to do what you can do with your family, with your work, and just make it all make sense. So what are you trying to get out of training though? Do you have any goals? Like what looking short term, long term? What where do you want to go with training?
I guess I still feel like I'm a beginner, so I continually want to increase my FTP, and it generally has always gone up. We've had a few blips where it's gone down a bit, but I've still like my goal this year is I'm on an original bike, so I know my FTP is not necessarily accurate, but it's all relative. So I wanted to get to be FTP of 200, and I just hit that. And now I'm like, well, I've got that now, but my power to weight ratio is not as good as I want it to be. So that's my next challenge is to get that better. But I'm also wary of like if I change what I eat, I don't want it to impact on my riding. I want to riding is the main bit that I want to do. I don't want to be
Yeah.
starving myself and then not being able to ride. So I've got to get the right balance.
Fuel for performance. Yes. Eat
Yeah,
for performance. Treat yourself as an athlete. The weight will kind of take care of itself.
exactly.
Uh, smart move. Have you done the power profile? Did you do that power profile max
Yes.
ride?
Yeah. I really love that. I did it
Eh,
live. Yeah, that was
oh,
amazing.
nice, nice. And keep track of those numbers. That's another way when FTP isn't moving to check your progress. I think that's a really good way. Also, like the zone 2 rides and check your heart rate. Do you ever do that? Compare your heart rate from the
Yes. Yeah, I
beginning of
do.
and maybe 2 months apart.
Yeah, yeah, I quite enjoy doing that. I like to see it coming down as I get fitter, definitely.
Awesome. And so this particular month, December, is a lot of things get in the way. I've been talking to a lot of people this month who I think we're all just kind of waiting for the obstacles of December to get past so that we can get back into a real training plan. And we kind of designed the Frosty Endurance Challenge to be a transitional period. And so when we do that, though, strength is a really important part of the training. And so are you getting some strength work done?
So last challenge, I signed up to do the riding and strength, and I started off doing the strength, and then it kind of slowly petered out because it was adding more time into what I needed to do, and I was feeling even more guilty. So the days I wasn't riding, I was still not spending time with my son because I'm like, I've got to do strength now. Um,
Yeah.
so I haven't done as much as I wanted to. I haven't done any for some time now, but I am. That is my next thing. Is I know I need to work on my strength. Um, I need to get it built in, but I've got to work out how I can fit it in around everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And so did you do the Team Wilpers strength or the Peloton strength or
I did the Peloton one just because I just need ease. Just put a video on and I'll follow it.
perfect, perfect. Yeah. So that works. I mean, and so I guess you could, and anybody in this particular challenge in the wintertime, if strength is the priority, maybe do the strength first and then get on the bike if that makes it happen. Just for this time period, and then the bike comes back to being the priority back in January. Just a
Yeah.
thought, if you think if that helps. But so, any advice for somebody new getting into Power Zone training or new to this particular type of Power Zone training?
Um, I would just say ask as many questions as you can because there's so many people out there willing to help and give you guidance. Like the first time I did my FTP, I absolutely completely didn't know what to do. I had no idea how to ride at my maximum for 20 minutes because I didn't know what my maximum was. and it was horrendous. But yeah, just follow the guidance and just accept that your first couple of FTPs are not going to be indicative of where you're at, just because you don't know how to pace yourself for them. So I think there's some quite good guides out there about how to approach an FTP, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And some other folks have tried the ramp test, and obviously we have the power profile. Have you done any of the other types of testing to estimate your FTP?
Yeah, I did the ramp test before last challenge, and I pulled my numbers back because I was like, there is no way I can do. So I don't know whether I'd done it wrong or whether I just was on a really good day, but I was just like, I'm not set. If I use that as my FTP, it's 75% of that. I was like, no. I feel
Because
like
that
I'm
number would have
doing
been too
fine.
high and your
Yeah,
zones would have been too high. That's what you're saying?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
definitely.
So it is a different kind of test, and physiologically, some of us can go a lot higher than FTP, or some of us can go just a little bit higher than FTP, and that's it. So physiologically, it's not the best test for everyone, depending on how the zones are made. But yeah, as long as you're consistent and use the same testing. But yeah, so FTP testing, 20-minute tests. Everyone is in the same boat when they start. It's a tough ride,
Yeah,
and you're saying that everybody should just stick with it and take it a few times and ask
yeah,
as many
definitely.
questions. And man, what a community! And you're a big part of it, being one of our one of the top contributors in the Facebook group, and thank you for that. But what do you have to say about the community? What do you get from it? What do you give to it?
I just think it's just everyone's so supportive. And you, like the other day when I got on at lunch, most of the time when I get on the bike, there's not many people with the hashtag, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yesterday at lunchtime, there was loads of us. I was like, it's amazing. It's just like, just I think my high fives broke, but to begin with, I was high. I think when it crashed, they kind of broke, but to begin with, loads of high fives. It's just nice to know that you're all aiming. You're all doing the same thing. You're all working at the same level. You're all trying to achieve the same things, and it's just nice to be able to have people on board just to ask questions and get advice from them, who are all doing, like, I couldn't speak to my normal friends about Power Zone. They'd be like, what? So it's nice to have people who understand the language that you're talking.
Yes, totally. No, I any friends who don't I have a hard time explaining what I do for a living.
I can
Let
imagine.
alone talking about the training. Yeah, I ride bikes. Yes, I ride bikes. What do I do for a living? Well, it's a little tricky, but if you don't understand, I'm a coach. I'm a coach. All right, cool. Well, that's awesome. I think the community is great, and I get the same thing. Even though and people know I don't ride the Peloton, but well, my daughter rides the Peloton. I just said, but it's really my wife's bike, and she rides the Peloton. But my bike is set up on the trainer next to it, so I don't get the high fives.
Oh,
But I do know that everybody's out there kind of watching, and so Strava, kudos on Strava is kind of the same thing. So the motivation
yeah.
of having all the people, if you're just in a vacuum doing it yourself, it's really hard to stay motivated. So what about outdoor riding? Do you ride outside at all?
I'm beginning to. So I've had a bike, and it must have done in its lifetime. It's probably done about 10 miles.
Oh no.
It's not gone very far. I'm very nervous because I live in a city, and it's just quite scary riding out there sometimes. So I've I've just got it booked in to get it serviced, so I know that it's all in good shape, and then I intend to start moving about a bit more on it and just finding places to go and ride, and hopefully finding local events to do that get me outside and get me meeting people who are outside as well to cycle with. Because yeah, it's I was thinking about it earlier, because like on the Peloton you're with other people. If you're outside, it'd be nice to be with other people as well. But actual real people.
I think you're right, and yeah. So if you find some local events, would you go on a road bike or a gravel bike, or a lot of gravel coupons
um,
showing up now?
yeah, I don't really know. I think it would be road bikes. I've got a hybrid at the moment, so
Okay, you could do
I would
either.
probably, yeah, I probably need to get one, like work out which way I want to go, because I got my bike to commute to work, and that didn't happen. But yeah, but yeah, I figured if I get into it, my son loves riding his bike outside, so then just need to talk my other half into getting a bike, and then we can go go out a bit more and do
It's a
activities
good
together.
way to spend the day. Yeah, the three of you pack the bikes up, go to the country a little bit, and get
Yeah.
out, have lunch. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Is there something regarding training, any accomplishments or anything? What are you really proud of?
Getting my FTP to 200, that is definitely, so that's more than doubled from where I started. Because, like I said, my first
Ooh,
FTP was absolutely horrendous, and I was like, I got the numbers, like, no, it should be higher than that, but it's more or less doubled since when I started. So
that's
it's
awesome.
just
So you went
nice.
you went from about 100 to 200
Yeah,
in
yeah.
how much time did that take?
So that's taken me. I probably started beginning of 2001, 21.
Whoa.
Sorry, 21. So that's just over 2 years.
So 2 years.
So
So in 2 more years, if you
yeah.
double again, you'll be at 400.
Yeah, and then I'll be a pro.
Woo.
But I realise that the gains are not going to be as big anymore. But it's just nice when you can compare your if you've done a ride and you've done it previously, and you can compare and you think, oh my God, my what is now the top of my zone 3 used to be the bottom of how you can just see how
Yeah.
you've improved. So that's really good to see and know that I feel better for it as well.
I always trying to put into words that proud feeling, the accomplishment, the feeling. So yeah, enjoy the feeling, that success,
Yeah,
the accomplishment. Yeah, that's why we do it. It's feels great. That's amazing. Well, cool. What you have any questions for me?
I guess how do you keep yourself motivated? Like once you get to a point where, like, obviously I realize my FTP is not going to increase forever. So how do you keep yourself motivated when you're at a point where you kind of just you're maintaining basically, and then maybe
Yeah.
seeing a incremental increase and then a bit of a down? How do you keep your motivation?
Yeah, so two things. So if you're years into this, yes, your FTP might not, maybe it'll go up incrementally, like you said. But if you pick two times during a season to peak, those peaks can bounce, but it's not going to stay up. And the time between the peaks, you do need to let your FTP or your fitness come back down. But you can start training to peak a couple of times each season and see if you can bump it up like that, your overall fitness, or you can choose different metrics, as in the power profile, or a zone 2 ride, a heart rate, or a
Yeah,
how long. Maybe you could do an FTP test for 40 minutes or for a full hour, and try and hold that to, if your number is 200, you've held it for 20 minutes, or you've held, divide by 0.95, holding that number for longer. The best motivator I find is putting something on the calendar, putting an
yeah.
event on the calendar. If you need to show up and there's going to be some comparison of some kind, doesn't have to be a race, but you have to be in shape to do the century, the metric century. That's been the best motivator that I've seen after your FTP has gone up. So I like those two things: looking at different metrics and putting something on the calendar.
That sounds good. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything else for the coach?
I'll try to think. I, no, I don't think so. I just nothing's springing to mind.
All right, I'm here anytime. Let me know. Try and stump me, even if it's the middle of the night. Usually, uh, well, man, this is awesome. I think I've said before, my favorite part of the week is getting to know the different athletes, and man, you all make this community so great. And just thank you for everything you do, and keep training.
Oh, thanks for putting the training plans together. So it's just like I say, it takes the thought out of what I need to do. It takes it away. I'll just get on the bike and go.
Yeah, cool. All right.